podcast, our inaugural podcast, and I'm excited about this one. I'm excited. I'm joined by Shanique Batal and Ritavile Moloto. So hopefully we can keep this thing going forward. So you guys have anything to say before we get started?
I'm excited to be here.
Nah, yeah, you can go first.
Get the ball rolling. First of all, Manchester City reaction. Rita, we'll start with you. How are you feeling after winning the derby? And just tell me what's going through your head with regards to Ali and the team.
In terms of the game itself, after the game, I was quite excited. It's been a while since we've had such a good performance, so it was exciting to see the lads, playing like that. And yeah, it's some excitement to our fan base during a dark time. But in terms of where we stand, like, it's weird. I don't know where I stand because I feel like he still hasn't earned the right to have the job. Like, he's still probably not the right man to take us forward. But after such results, you can say, how can you fire him? You have to give him a chance to show what he can do. So it's a bit of a weird situation.
That's true. That's certainly true. Shoni, what are your thoughts?
Personally, I was gassed, fam. I won't even lie to you. I was on top of the world. But I still think that, do you ever see Oli lifting a Premier League title with United? And I just don't see it. So hopefully you can build and you can learn. But for long term, I just don't think he's the man to do the job.
Yeah, look, I think going forward as a fan base, a lot of us are very confused at the moment. Some people are over the moon. Obviously, all the inners are, they think their argument's been made, which I think is a bit false. Like, we have proven that we can play well against the top six, but that doesn't mean anything in the grander scheme of things if we go on and we lose to an Everton. So what I would ask you guys is what are you guys expecting to see going forward based off of that result? What specifically are you expecting to see? And Shoni, we'll start with you this time. Are you expecting to see something different in terms of playing style, or you just worried about the results?
Well, I am worried about the results. I think going forward, I would like to see us not drop points to the smaller teams. I still feel like he's only got one plan. That's to sit back and then counter-attack the other team. And it works against the top teams, but not against the little teams. We've dropped points to Villa and Newcastle, and we need to stop doing that. But hopefully we can start picking up points on the lower teams. And I think as soon as Pogba is back fit, he'll drop into that Jesse Lingard role and play up higher with Scott and Fred in the midfield.
Hopefully he does that. Moloto, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with Shani. I think, actually, I'm a bit hopeful, because yes, we do drop a lot of points against small teams, and we've seen, like, in the past, we'll get good results against the big teams and then drop off. Like, we've been doing it for years. I remember back during the Van Gaal era, like, we'd beat, like, Liverpool and beat Man City 4-2, but then just go and lose to some other small team. But, like, I've seen an improvement in the midfield. I feel like Fred and McTominay are putting in a bit of shift.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
he can down smaller teams better.
Yeah, it's interesting, really, because I think under Oli we've seen, in some cases we've seen a complete contrast of two ideas. In some cases we've seen players get a lot better, like we've seen McTominay, we've seen Martial, and to a certain extent we've seen Rashford, who's on fire at the moment. Lindelof has gotten a little bit better, even though a lot of people will give him stick. Okay, Wan-Bissaka's a new signing, so he doesn't count. We've seen a lot of talent and a lot of players come and get better under Oli. But then on the other hand, we've also seen a massive like weakness in our team. It's been exposed so much. Just the lack of attacking threat and the lack of creativity and the lack of a number 10, as you said. And when Pogba comes back, hopefully he will be fit and ready to just drop into that position and make an immediate impact, hopefully. But I think under Oli we've seen that, and that kind of brings me on to the next game, the Europa League game that we've got. What are we looking for in this game? And Rita, you can go first this time.
A definite must win. Like, there's no way around it. We must win this game because it's about consistency. Like, that's something we struggle with as a club. We've struggled with for the last 6 years. So I feel like if we beat Tottenham, beat Man City, then just go and lose to some Europa League team, like people were like, there they go again. No consistency. So just
That's
building on the momentum and like going into the Everton game in a good mood. And the game itself, I mean, we need to finish top in the group. So it's a must win.
Before we go on, actually, there is one thing I've left out. Does this result mean anything in terms of Ollie's plan, vision / job / Ollie in, Ollie out type of thing we've got going on at the moment? What do you guys think of that?
But the City game.
No. The Europa League game we've got coming up.
Oh.
If Ollie loses this game, do you think the Ollie out talks are back on again? Do you think people will start to flip flop, and do you think his job is in any threat, or do you guys just think this is just another one of those results? Like, yeah, he probably should win it, but it won't affect his job in his year till the end, till like May next year.
I think that if he does somehow lose or draw this game, I think the fans will be heartbroken, and I think the Ollie out guys will definitely come back. But I think his job is safe. I think beating Mourinho and beating Pep saved his job. I think those are the two big games for the board. And I don't think this board is going to let their shield just, go away. They're going to try to keep a hold of Ollie as long as possible.
I see that. It's definitely true, man. This board, Actually, another interesting topic is the players. The players, not just the board, but the players seem to be playing for Ollie. That's something for me that's really intriguing. I've never, in football nowadays, in the modern game, you always see teams generally down their tools when they don't believe in a manager's philosophy, and the team's not doing that well and they're off to a bad start. We saw it with Emery at Arsenal. I mean, you can make an argument there. We saw it with Poch. He kind of lost his dressing room. We saw it with Mourinho. There's countless examples. And to see the United players be in arguably the worst position going into the City game in terms of the amount of points, the win percentage, to see them go into that and believe in their manager and want to play for the manager, I think is truly something special. And I don't know what to make of it, because, I don't know where this is going to take us. Obviously, it's a good thing for Ollie, but I don't know if it's good for the club long term, because, as you said, you don't think Ollie is going to be the guy to win us trophies. And I agree. I don't see Ollie winning a Premier League title. At best, I think he can just lay the foundation for our team, but I just don't see it. And
Exactly.
Well, I'm not sure if Moloto would agree with that, or he's got something else to say.
Yeah, I feel like a good spirit is important, because they're not going to fire him. So having a good spirit in the club will go a long way for us with the situation we're in. In terms of his job, I feel like if he does lose this game, it's back on. I feel like throughout the whole of December, he's in the hot seat. Maybe not in the eyes of the board, but like in the eyes of the fans. Like, he's done horrible. He's done shit. Let's be honest. So if he starts slipping up after these two games, we'll be like, it means nothing. It absolutely means nothing. So he needs to win pretty much all the games in December.
Look, I think it's easy to say that the board is behind Ollie, and there's lots of evidence to suggest that. But I mean, we've heard this all before. We've seen managers get sacked a week after the board has said, no, we're behind you, we're going to give him the next transfer window. Like, we've seen this movie play out in football before. So, I don't want to sound like a broken record player, but just to play a bit of devil's advocate here, I think that if Ed Woodward and the Glazers are anywhere near as what's the word I'm looking for? Anywhere near as skilled as running the club, as they need to be, they will be thinking about sacking Ollie. They might not do it, they might not go through with it, but it will be in the back of their head somewhere, and they will have a list, or at least one person that they're thinking of being in communication with in case, things do go south. I genuinely believe that. And well, if the Glazers are as inept as everyone says they are, then they're probably just praying that Ollie just does well.
I think they're praying it. I think all their hopes lie in Ollie.
Yeah, I can see both sides of the argument.
Because the thing is, like, if they do fire Ollie, who are you gonna bring in? Like, I know Poch is available now, but let's just say Poch goes somewhere and the deal didn't go through. Like, who else do you bring?
That's another thing. If Poch, and it looks like Poch is going somewhere, but these are all rumors. I think Arsenal might sign Poch before we do, just because of the way things have played out over the last years. But that's an interesting point you bring up, because I don't know. I haven't given it enough thought. Like, who do you guys think we should hire if Poch is unavailable? Like, for argument's sake, let's say I'm putting a scenario in your guys' head now. Let's say you guys are in Ed Woodward's seat right now, and for argument's sake, you actually care about the club. And Poch gets snatched by another club, but Ollie goes on and loses the next 4 or 5 games in a row, and you've got to sack him. Who do you bring in?
Firstly, I feel like the idea that we consider them to be praying that Ole does all is insane, considering what club you're. Like, it's absolutely mad that the biggest club in the world is relying on an inept manager and like is putting all the marbles into that. So that just shows how far we've fallen as a football club. And in terms of who come in, like, personally, I think Poch is the man to go with. I think he's proven at Tottenham that he can work with a small budget and he can make players better, which is something we haven't had in managers in a very long time. Actually, since Sir Alex Ferguson. So definitely.
Yeah, but who else? Let's say Poch isn't available. Let's say Poch isn't available a month from now. Who do you know who you would go with?
Well, personally, if it was up to me,
Brendan Rodgers.
if I was, Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan Rodgers is a good shot.
Good shot.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's going to leave Leicester anytime soon. Also, I don't think he'll turn down the United job because that job is one of the highest in the world. But if I was in Ed Woodward's shoes, I would have probably went for someone like Simeone, because I think he's like the type of man who won't take much shit and nonsense from the club. But the only problem is that his style of football. It's just not Man United.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly don't want to go down that road again. Defensive football road. No thanks.
Or you could make the argument that we're there right now, with Oli playing, Parks of us football. I know that's not what you want. I know that's not what everybody wants, but that's where we are as a club. We seem to have this terrible record over the last few years. And I don't think anybody's paid attention to it. I mean, it's been mentioned, but nobody's ever paid attention to the fact that we've brought in managers who we weren't really sure about. I mean, Mourinho, we knew he was going to bring a bus to Old Trafford. But I don't think many people watched Van Gaal before he came to United. And when he played his football, it was basically a snooze fest. And now Oli, who's come in and said he's going to play positive attacking football. And again, this week, we've heard him come out and say, we're playing positive attacking football. That was good to see against City. But it's not. It's counter-attack. It's sit back, soak up the pressure, win the ball, lob it over to James, Rashford or Martial, and hope their pace can beat the other team's defense and get into the gaps and score. That's basically how we won against City.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's an interesting... You were going to say?
No, I was just going to say that, it works against the top teams, as we've seen. But when we have to go and actually attack the lower teams, we can't do anything.
In games, you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Yeah, you were cutting off there a bit, mate, but go on.
Yeah, I'm trying to say that I feel like it's fear, most part. They play a style like, maybe not Mourinho, because Mourinho, we know that's his MO. But then Van Gaal, before he came to United, he wasn't playing the type of football he was playing at United. And the first few months weren't like that. But like, he got to a point where it seemed like he was trying to grind out results. And like, it comes from a place of fear, I feel, really.
That's true. It's funny you say that because, at least the positive under Van Gaal, and, you can go back and look at his records, is at least under a manager like Van Gaal, we were able to grind out results. Keyword there, grind out results. Like, I'm not saying I was happy with the football or anything like that. Like, personally, I don't mind defensive football, but at United, it's not really an accepted thing, and I understand that. But at least those teams were able to grind out results. What's scary nowadays, and, we have to kind of forget about this honeymoon period around the Manchester Derby, is we are unable to grind out results against small teams. We seem to lack that big match temperament, or just the ability. It's not even big match temperament, actually. It's just the ability to close out games against small teams that we should be beating anyways. We just played freely.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad. But anyways, before we get too far off topic, I think we've got to move on. We've got to talk about this Europa League game. Now, I'm not sorry.
They're crap.
They're crap. Come on.
Say, bunch of bloody farmers. Okay, so I think what we should talk about now is the predicted starting lineup. We'll go position by position, obviously. What do you think this team's going to look like, starting with the goalkeeper?
I think Romero. I think Romero is going to start.
I think that's fair. I think, do you agree, Rita?
Yeah, I can agree with that. He needs game time, so Romero shall start.
It's Europa League, classic United, easy as you like. Centre backs, centre halves. Who's your guys' predicted centre half pairing? And we'll start with Shawnee.
I think Maguire and Axel. I think he'll play Maguire because I think he does want to win the group and keep the momentum. So I think he'll put out the semi-strong team to take this game likely. And that's what I'm hoping, I hope he doesn't play just a bunch of youth and doesn't take it seriously and just, gets experience under them.
That's true. I think also having the buzz of the City win carry over and some of the momentum is good. Rita, who's your predicted centre half pairing?
Maguire and Tinzove.
It's interesting, man. I personally, I think it could go either way. I can see Tuanzebe playing. Axel would be a bit of a risk, and I'm not sure if Ollie's
Axel is Tuanzebe. Axel Tuanzebe.
Oh shit, my bad. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Postumensa.
Yeah, Postumensa. Jeez, I did Axel. When you said Axel, I was thinking someone completely different. Anyways, left back position. Who are we going with there?
Williams. I think Williams will definitely play today.
Yeah. Do you agree there, Malo?
I'm not sure, hey. If I have to pick one, I'll say Williams. But then I feel like he might just think that Shaw needs some game time because he's coming back from an injury and he needs to get some minutes under his belt.
That's true.
But I think I'll go with Williams as well.
Yeah, look, I think Williams should play. But with Ollie, you just never know. And with the decisions he's been making as of late, bringing on Shaw in that game against Spurs at the end, that made little to no sense, really. I guess he just wanted Shaw to run around a bit. But, okay, I've got no words.
Well,
I'm lost. He did play well. He did play well. But I'm lost for words. Right back. Aaron Wan-Bissaka?
Yeah, you know what, guys, I won't even lie to you. I feel like he's going to go with the face of United. Ollie's captain. United's captain, Ashley Young. I feel like he's going to rest. I feel like he's going to rest Wan-Bissaka. After that City game, I was like, nah, the man needs a rest. Surely.
Look, I don't agree with the choice, but we are where we are. And I do agree with the fact that Wan-Bissaka needs a rest. And the reality of the situation is we don't have anyone to rest. So, Rita, what are your thoughts?
I don't know.
Who else
Can Young
Ken? You cut off the
Can Young play back-to-back games? Isn't he 102 years old?
He is, but he didn't play against City, remember?
He played for a few minutes.
He went to retirement over the weekend.
Honestly, I think he'll play Wan-Bissaka. I honestly think so. Because I feel like Young's horrible on that side. He's so bad. It's not even fun. So I think
the argument we're trying to make, look, is when I was saying Wan-Bissaka shouldn't play, it's just the man needs a rest, mate. The man needs a rest.
I get
I'm so worried,
but I feel like
Wan-Bissaka getting injured.
No, that's a good point. I just feel like he's gonna rate his importance and how important this game is and how bad Young is on that side. I think if he plays Young, he'll be on the left, honestly. So I personally think it'll be Wan-Bissaka.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, man. We'll just have to wait and see. Mister, we've got a great squad. Might just play. So then we move on to the midfield, and this one should be easy. But then again, we've been discussing this idea of players being rested. Who are we going with in the center of the park? Who do you guys think will play in the center of the park?
Well, I think he's still going to play the two holding defensive midfielders. And I think it's going to probably be the Ghana, and I think it'll be either between Fred and Scott, because I think he wants to maintain that strong team for this game. So I think Fred or Scott will start next to Ghana.
Any?
I agree with Ghana. I think Ghana needs game time. And then I think you go with Scott, because I feel like as Fred is improving, but then Scott McTominay gives us this power in the midfield that Fred can't give us, this sense of presence in the midfield. And we'll need that because we've shown that we can't lose to anyone, really. We can't lose this game. So, we just need to make sure that we close it out.
Yeah, and I think
And I feel
he'll
like
play.
Ole will recognize that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think he'll play Mata as the number 10.
Yeah,
There's no ways
I
we
can
give
agree.
Mata a new contract and then he just doesn't play. I feel like he will play this game, and I think Oli personally
Yeah.
rates him still. So
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I wasn't really sure about that, but today looking at it, I agree. Although if I was to play devil's advocate, I would go and say that, okay, but Lingard's going to be on the bench anyway, so what I'm about to say makes no sense. But what I was going to say is that I think Lingard would have started because I think he would have wanted to keep the bounce or at least come off the bench. He was going to want to keep that momentum, as I said, from the City game going
yeah,
forward. And I think a big part of that is just keeping as close to the same XI as possible. But I can see Mata starting. Again, Europa vibes, United on the
fair
Thursday
enough.
evening.
Yeah.
I think like moving into the attacking thing. I don't think Lingard might be on the bench. I think Ole might even play Lingard at the left.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's
So
good.
left wing, you're going with Lingard there.
Yeah, I think he's gonna play Lingard.
Yeah.
I honestly think he's
Reactions
gonna
from
play Mata and Lingard, guys. You know what? That Lingard on the left, it seems like an Oli thing to do.
Yeah, it is so much like Ole.
Yeah.
But then also that is another Oli thing to do is he's gonna play Andreas on the right wing instead of playing Mata's off or putting him in the 10. He'll play Andreas on the right wing. So I think Andreas will go right wing as well.
That's interesting, man. I think anything can happen in this game, and I think. Look, I'm a big fan of resting players, so I would be against James, Martial, and Rashford, all three of them starting in this game. I think it's completely unnecessary. Yes, we've got to go on and win this game against a pub team, but like we can't continue risking players and then complaining about injuries.
Yeah.
Rita, what are your thoughts
Yeah,
on the front three?
I'm hopeful he won't go Lingard on the left. I think he'll go Rashford.
Yeah.
But I do agree that he might play Pereira on the right and then Greenwood striker.
Yeah, I think everyone can pretty much agree that I think Greenwood's gonna play striker.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Martial took a bit of a knock, and I think you want to preserve Martial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. At least the thing about Rashford is I think he's very fit. I think of all the players we have, if you look at injury records, I'm not
Yeah.
100% Rashford's injury records, but as a person who supports United, I think I'm pretty confident and willing to say that Rashford's probably out of the fragile players, he's one who just doesn't get injured that much, and he can play 90
that's
minutes.
true.
Yeah, that's just, the only reason I would want to play Rashford is hopefully to keep his form up, because if he can carry on scoring, that would be great. I feel like, just now we don't play him, and then the next
That's-
game we risk some rust, and then all of a sudden his form is gone, and there's no consistency, which has been Rashford's problem in the past.
I mean, I agree. Look, these guys are professionals, so like one game off shouldn't change their form. Like they should maintain it. But I agree. With Rashford, you never know. A lot of these players are still young. So yeah, this leaves us with just the score predictions and how we think the match is going to play out. Probably the easiest part of the show, really. What do you guys think is going to happen? I think United are obviously going to win. I think that's pretty much everyone's opinion. But what do you guys think? Score predictions.
I think I'm hoping that he's actually hope he maintains second half momentum as well, because we slack off in second halves, and I hope we we play positive and get a result and show that this last few games hasn't just been because of luck.
Yep.
So I think my score prediction will be 2-0 United.
All right, I think that's fair. I would have gone with the 3-1, but Rita, what do you think?
Yeah, I think let's not sit back and count. Let's try hold the ball, try and make things happen. We're at home, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we're at home.
Yeah, and just make things happen. And I think with the momentum and the excitement after beating Man City, I think a 2-0 win.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
And you?
You guys going a bit safe there. Yeah, I already said 3. I would go with the 3-1. I think.
You're 100% going with 3-1.
Yeah, I think we'll get 3 goals, and because it's United, I think they will concede because they're going to drop off in the second half, and somebody's going to slip and not mark the guy, and he's going to run through. He's going to get a cheap goal. I think it's expected with United.
And if Young plays, there's a high possibility.
Yeah.
Like
that pretty much.
I just don't trust this team to score a lot of goals anymore. We beat the best team in the world, is all it says.
Yeah, that's Best team in the world. Best coach in the world. He looks up to Pep.
Am I the only
He
one
was
in the
even going
world
on.
who's just sucking up a little bit to make his results seem a lot better? Because he kept saying best in the
But
world like we didn't hear him the first time.
Dude, and now the thing is, and Pep came out and he feels like the City team can't compete with the elite. And I'm just like, get in the bin, fam. Get out. Fire this fool. What a prat.
That was a bit harsh. I think we've covered all the main topics, and we still have a bit of time left to spare, so we can talk about that. What are your guys' thoughts on the whole Pep situation? Because when I see someone or a manager come out and say that against a team that's not doing particularly well at the moment, it just makes me start to be a little bit worried. Like if I was a City fan, I'd be a little bit worried right now. Just a
Get him
little.
out. Honestly, I'd get him out. This guy's had open checkbook. He hasn't won a Champions League since Barcelona. Went to Bayern, failed. Well, not failed, but like, didn't win the Champions League.
Oh, he's
Came to
stacked.
City. Yeah. Came to City, open checkbook, signed everyone he wanted, and still can't do the things. Nah, come on, man. Come on.
I feel like Pep is always good with the deflecting tactics, like moving the pressure away. Like Mourinho. Mourinho's a bit more blunt about it, but like he's also very good at it. Just moving the pressure away from his team. Like, nah, the onus is not really on us. And then just going on with his business. I know in the dressing room he's having those players. He's having them.
Yeah, I agree. Look, my opinion when it comes to guys like Pep, when it comes to guys like Mourinho, when it comes to all these big managers who I like to play, who play what I like to call champagne football, I feel like it's just very demanding on the players. And if you don't have the right team and the right squad and things don't click at the right time, it can go very wrong very quickly. And I feel like at Manchester City, honestly, he's not done yet, but I think he's heading in that direction. Like I'm not very close, but I'm getting there. I'm getting to the point of saying that Pep is done because I don't see it, man. I feel like, and we spoke about this in the group yesterday. I feel like his playing style is just not sustainable long term. The actual tactic itself is sustainable for attacking football. It's very creative. It can penetrate any team in the world with the right players. I'm not talking about the tactic. I'm just talking about the intensity and the mental sort of abuse players go under. I feel like it's just not sustainable, especially if the tactic falls apart when one or two players are injured. That's what makes it even more like I'm perplexed when I see Manchester City lose one player or two players and then not be able to
like Aguero, fam.
It makes my jaw drop. Yeah, like Aguero. When they lose Aguero, they just because they Manchester City,
it's
they're
just
still gonna score.
I personally don't rate him. I don't rate Jesus so much.
I rate Jesus. I like Jesus, but I'm not going to be afraid to call him out and say that he hasn't been at the level that I expected him to be at. So, it's just one of them things. He's a young player, plays in patches. He's going to be inconsistent. He's going to make mistakes. And we'll never really know what his level is until he reaches his peak, and that's a long time from now. So that's really all it comes down to for Jesus for me.
Yeah.
It is a bit tough.
I feel like he just...
Yeah. You're going to say?
No, I'm saying I feel like he just needs games, really. I feel like he's a talent. He just doesn't get consistent games because Aguero was playing.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, when you're replacing Aguero, it's another story, When you're replacing Aguero, it's another story. In another team, I think Jesus would get a lot more time and he'd shine a little bit more.
Definitely.
Imagine Rashford was playing at City and he just was chilling on the bench now because of Sterling and chilling on the bench because of Aguero. I don't think we'd see the same Rashford, But that's a topic for another day. There is one thing I do wanna end off with. We've obviously discussed Ollie in, Ollie out. We know where you guys stand and everything. But after the two results against Manchester City and Spurs, and looking at the current climate in the Premier League at the moment, do you guys think that top four is a bit more realistic now and a bit more achievable now? Or do you think these two games just don't make a difference and people are being a bit flip-flop? Because we are 5 points, if I'm not mistaken, outside the top four. Do you guys think it's achievable now?
I feel like, as fans, you're running on the emotions, and naturally you would think like all of a sudden, top four. And then also, but then you look at Chelsea, who's ahead of us, and they're starting to drop off points. And now I'm just wondering what happened to Oli might happen to Frank Lampard. First few months came in fantastic, and then as soon as the heads drop or one bad result goes down, let's see if we can pick up the form again and stuff. I personally think Chelsea can. I feel like their youth and their players, they've been consistent enough. So top four, I don't know. I think fifth. I don't know if we'll get into top four. Depends. I think it depends if United will stop dropping points against the lower teams. And whether or not Chelsea bounce back or if they continue to drop points.
Yeah, that really is all it comes down to. And Rita, what are your thoughts on that?
Personally, I feel like that midfield, no disrespect, maybe with Pogba, but that midfield can't break down small teams consistently. I feel like they just don't have it in them. So for me, it's about buying in January. If we don't do that, and with the current climate, I honestly don't see us doing it. Because I feel like their midfield, Tottenham's midfield, and definitely Leicester's midfield are miles away from us. So I feel like, if we stay with this current team, the dip is eventually going to come again.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And now Chelsea can buy in January. The ban has been lifted. So they'll probably have to strengthen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a topic for another podcast entirely, but I can't disagree with that. Look, this team for me, obviously running very high on emotions after that City win, but I've calmed down now and I've sort of rationalized it. I still don't trust this Manchester United team because they haven't given me a reason. Yes, we've beat 6 of the traditional big clubs in England, but that means nothing in the current climate because Spurs were kind of okay. Well, they played well in their first 2 games against Mourinho. Fair enough. But they were kind of shit. Arsenal shit. City not at the level they were last season. Clearly, Liverpool. That is a result I will give Oli. That's a result where I'll jaw dropped, stunned, surprised, shocked, unbelievable. Don't know how he pulled it off. That's the vibe I have with the Liverpool game. But these other games, they're respectable. I'll give Oli that, but they're not amazing. I don't feel like they're that big of a deal. And because of the tactic we play and the fact that big teams just suit our playing style and play into our trap, really for me makes it less amazing. I don't think Oli pulled off any tactical masterclasses against the big teams, so I'm still not convinced entirely. But with that said, you got to look at the numbers, and 5 points isn't that much. So I think Shoni hit it, hammer on the nail there when he said it really just comes down to the results that we get over the next few weeks. Can we build a decent run of form, consistency, the word we throw around a lot as United fans nowadays. And can we stop dropping stupid points? Because if you take away the points that we've dropped, and you don't even have to look at the losses, just look at the draws against Aston Villa and other teams, we could have been so much better off if we just didn't draw those games. Sheffield United and Aston Villa alone, we win those 2, we're 1 point away from Chelsea. So it blows my mind. I think it is possible, but I think it all depends on the next few weeks. And I'm not going to say that I believe Oli's going to do it. I want to see the results first, and I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong if he does turn it around. But for now, I still don't trust his team, and that's just my thoughts. So
definitely.
That pretty much wraps it up, I think. Please do leave a like on the video. Please do subscribe. Let us know in the comments down below what your opinions are, what your thoughts are. Please do engage. We're trying to build a community that
follow Insta.
Outside. Yeah. We'll link our Instagram and our socials all down at the bottom. Don't worry. But please, guys, we're trying to grow a community here. And if you did make it to the end of the podcast, you're a champ. To grow a community of United fans from outside the UK. And basically, we're targeting Africa, but anyone in the world is welcome. And we're just as passionate about the club as you are, probably. If you're listening to this, then you're definitely as passionate as us. And just let us know. So that should wrap it up.